Hey everybody, this is Sue Craig, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Cleveland, Ohio. And today I have a pop-up tower card for you. It lays flat to go in the envelope and to be mailed, but then it stands up so that it can be displayed. It opens like a regular card, just has a little something extra on the front. What we're going to need to do this card is I used scalloped blooms for the sentiments. A lot of really nice sentiments in this. I liked the script here in the words. Some of them, though, have just like printing, so it's a nice combination. I really liked "You're a Blessing to Me." Who doesn't want to know that they've been a blessing? When I do my stamps, to keep track of them, I take packing tape. Before I even open this up, I put packing tape here so that I can open this up. And then this sheet stays with it. It goes behind, and then I can pull the stamps off and put them back on. I also know if I have any that are missing. For me, this is a whole lot easier than stamping all of these on the back of that and then let it dry. And this is just quick and easy, and that's what I like, because I want to concentrate on making the cards and making my videos and getting these things out there to my card ministries. I bought the dies as well, and the dies are scallop circles, and they alternated a plain edge with a bumpy edge. You know, it's got little dots on it. So you can see that, you'll see when I show you the cutouts that I used for the card, how it is. And every other one has the dots on it. And what I also did was I have a little sticky note here that tells me the sizes of the circles, so that if I'm trying to gauge a sentiment, I have a good idea of the size that I might need. The other dies that come with this are for sentiments. And I like to keep this out on my desk so that it's in my sight, so I remember to use them. I don't know about you, but sometimes if it's not in my vision, if I don't see it, I don't use it. So this has been helpful for me. And these two, this is for centers for the flower. So if you were going to take one of these and make it into a flower, you could cut this out in whatever color you wanted, put it in the middle. And then they have 6 little leaves that can be cut out at once, which is wonderful. You're not cutting them out one at a time or even 2 at a time. So I keep this out so that it is handy, and then I remember to use it. There's, you know, you spend a lot of money on dies. You want to make sure that you use them. The paper that I'm going to use today is Floral Delight. Now I know it's retired, but here in Cleveland, it has been rainy and cloudy and miserable, and I needed some sunshine. So we're going to be using this and see how this card turns out. We're also going to be using some resin dots that go beautifully with that paper. Let me show you what we're going to need for our card. You don't need to write any of this down. It's all going to be in the description below. So let's see what our card base is going to look like. Our card base is our typical 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. This is Lemon Lolly. The piece that's going to make our tower is this piece right here. This is also Lemon Lolly, and it is 4 1/4 by 6. And I scored this at 1/2 inch, 1 3/4, 3 inches, 4 1/4 inches, and 5 1/2. And even though you can't see it, we have 2 narrow strips here on the end. And that's one of the things we're going to be really conscious of and working with to make our tower. All of these others are evenly spaced so that we have our rectangles, and so that it will go together in a tower that collapses. And I'll show you how that goes. Looking at our card, we have a piece of white That's 4 1/4. No, it's 4 by 5 1/4. That's for the inside. And I have designer paper, 2 pieces that are 2 3/8 by 3 7/8. They're going to go on the front of our card, not on the tower, but on the front of our card. And this is what I do for my classes. We lay things out, so as I talk about it, they have an idea of how their card is going to go together. So if they have any downtime, if they're waiting to stamp, they know what are things they can do to get their card finished. I also have 2 pieces of white, and these are, oh boy, 2 1/2 by 4. That's correct, 2 1/2 by 4. And these are going to go behind our designer paper like this. It's going to be layered. What I was telling ladies in classes this week was that we have a couple of different weights of paper, and we also, when we make cards, when we do a lot of layers, we don't want to use the heaviest layers that we have. We want to use lighter paper when we're doing this. I know a lot of people, instead of putting a piece of cardstock inside, will use their computer paper inside. It helps with cost, and it also helps to cut down on the thickness of your card, depending on how many layers you have. All right, here are the 2 circles that I cut out. This one with the sentiment does not have any dots on it. And then this one has the dots. And let me show you from this here. I went from the smallest one. So this white one is the 3rd smallest one. 1, 2, 3. And then the green one is the 4th smallest one. You can make yours any size. I like to look at the sentiment that I have and then decide the size of the circle that I'm going to need. We have 2 teeny tiny pieces of cardstock here. They are 1/2 by 1 1/2. These are going to be the mechanism that helps this piece go up and down. So I'm going to put that right there so we can see it. We have 4 pieces of designer paper, and these are 1 inch by 4, and of course they're 2-sided. So in classes, my students can decide, do they want to use this side? Do they want to use this side? Do they want to trade off and use 2 of each? This piece is, what is this piece? Well, let's measure it and find out. It is 1 1/4 by 3 3/4. And that's just going to go inside here. And this is wider than my sample because it was one of the pieces left over when I was cutting the paper. I have a lot of creative people in my classes. In fact, this week I had a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old, and I just love how open and free they are. They just went to town with pieces. They were cutting things out. They were cutting hearts out of paper and putting them in their cards. They were mixing the papers. You know, a lot of us, it's got to match. You know, we got to have same on the right, same on the left. Well, one of the girls didn't feel that way. She just put one on one side. She liked that both sides of the paper, so she used both sides of the paper. It was just refreshing, really wonderful to see the excitement and the creativity that these girls had. So we're going to start with this piece here, which is the 4 1/4 by 6. And we're going to take our bone folder and we're going to fold these. And because I want a lot of movement with this and make it easy, I'm going to fold it both ways like you saw. So I'll fold it this way and then back. and this way and back. This way and back. And now that we've scored on, we've folded these score lines, it'll be easier for you to see what I'm doing when I have it down here. Okay, so now you can see here are the, if I tip it, this is the 1/2 inch and this is a 1/2 inch. So we're going to lay this in front of us and we're going to take 2 of our pieces of designer paper and we're not going to put them on this little 1/2 inch. We're going to put them on the next rectangle over. And we're going to put this one on this rectangle here. So you can use any kind of adhesive you want. And, I think I'm going to try just like the girls did. I'm going to do 2. Boy, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone here, ladies. So we're going to do a little bit on this side, and then we'll flip it over and have the other side show up. Probably should have done it the other way, but we'll see. All right, we're inclined to want to go ahead and do this, but we're not going to do that just yet. We're going to take our teeny tiny white pieces and we're going to fold them in half. And fold it in half. Okay, so now you have what looks like a little duck bill. On each of these, you're going to add adhesive just to one side. And here's the card fold. What we're going to do is we're going to take the side we have adhesive on and put it down, and we're going to put it next to this fold line. We're not going to cover the fold line. We're going to put it next to it. And I tried to bring it down a little bit from the top. All right, we're going to do the same thing here. The fold itself is by the fold, if that makes it easier for you. So here's my piece. I have folded it. And I'm going to take this fold, put it across from this one, right at the fold. Again, I don't want to cover up that fold line. It's got to be able to move. So here's what it looks like now. You can see there's the fold is in the middle. It's touching. Okay. Now what we're going to do is just straighten those up, and we're going to cover those up. We're going to take the last 2 strips of designer paper and cover those up so nobody knows they're there. There we go. Quick and easy. So far, so good. All right, let's take our other piece. This is the card base. So we're just going to take this, and again, it has 2 sides, so you can decide which side you want to use, which sides. If you like both of them, use them both. But I'm just going to add the designer paper to my white paper. Most times when we do a card, I will tell you it does not matter whether you use adhesive or glue. For this next step, we're going to use glue. Well, this next step you can use adhesive if you want, but then the next step we'll use glue. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take these 2 pieces, and like I showed you, they're going to go like this on our card. So one is here and one is here. So we have one by the fold and one by the open part. So I'm going to turn this one over, and I'm only going to put adhesive by the edge. Do not put it here. Okay, so now I'm going to just turn it the right way and put it down. Same thing here. I'm going to turn this over, and I'm only going to put adhesive on the outer edge. Turn it over. You can see where I have the adhesive. Turn it over and put it down. Now, if you have done it correctly, you will be able to pull these up a little bit, because what we're going to do next is we're going to take this and tuck it underneath here. All right, let me show you how that's going to be done. This is a step where we need to use glue. It'll make more sense, the reason why we need it, in just a minute. So we're going to put glue on the top here and on the bottom. It doesn't matter which side you work with first, so I'm going to just pick this side up a little bit. This, remember, has a score line at 1/2 inch. So all I'm going to do is lift this up and put this in up to the score line. I want to match the edges with the edge of my card, and I want to make sure that I don't cover the fold, because I need to have it fold like this so that it can form the tower. So we do one side, and now we're going to do the other side. We're going to put glue on there, and then on the back, on this, just this 1/2 inch strip here. This is the same thing. We're going to bend this down, and I'm going to pull this up, and we're going to put it right behind. Again, I'm going to line it up so that it matches the top and the bottom of the card, and I'm going to make sure that when I glue it, that I do not have it covering up this score line. The reason for the glue will be shown now. You're going to take this and push down so it will flatten, and because it's glued, the part that's underneath will slide because of the glue and go to the correct place, so that now your card can flatten. If you use adhesive, the adhesive won't move. That's why we use the glue. All right, we still have these strips, and that's what we're going to put our green circle on, and this. But before we do that, I want to do our stamping. So let's go ahead and take the white, and again, I want to leave this circle on here so that I can see the edges. You don't have to have another circle. You could just use something that's darker. It could be the back of your card, like this. As long as you can see the edge of whatever you're stamping, it makes it a whole lot easier for you to line things up. So we're going to do that, and we're going to do this. Now, the sentiments that I used were thank you and you're a blessing to me. What I'm going to do, since this one is going to be for my card ministry, is I'm going to put only one sentiment, you're a blessing to me, on here. And I'm going to use Mossy Meadow, even though it's old olive cardstock. I know. Who would have thought? I don't know if I like that. Maybe we should see what the old olive looks like. All right, let's clean this off and see what old olive looks like. You know, this is all part of the creation and the creative process. You stamp something and you look at it. Do you like it? Yes or no? If you don't, there's another side. So let's try with olive and see, what do we prefer? Oh, much better. I like the olive a whole lot better. So we're using old olive instead of Mossy Meadow. Sorry, Mossy Meadow. And again, I'm going to keep this blank because it gets written in for the hospital. So they'll determine what they want for the inside for this card. And I think I'll use the pretty side. Quite often I use my tweezers to do this type of stuff. All right, we're going to open our card and put this piece in. A lot of times if I'm doing gluing, I will hold it like this so that I already have it in my hand. I don't have to try to pick it up and get glue on my fingers. And I also will use my tweezers so that I can put it on. Or hold two opposite corners and set it in there. All right, now we have these. We're going to flatten these. And I'm going to go back to my adhesive. And I'm just going to put it on each white piece. And I will put my circle on here. And what I'm trying to do is to have about the same amount of room at the top and the bottom. And now what I want is to add some dimensionals to the back, just so that it raises it up just a little bit. You don't have to do that. You can do, whatever you want to do. Also, because there's so much white on this, if you wanted, you could take your old olive and you could brush it either with a brush or with your ink pad. You could add some ink to the edges of your sentiment piece. Then it's not so overpowering with all the white. Don't have to do that, but you could. And we'll set this down. Now you can add whatever you want. And like I said, I wanted to add these little resin dots. So we'll just add a couple of these and call it done. I like to add an odd number, and it really doesn't matter where you put it. I try to make like a triangle. So here's my first card. And you can see it looks a little different with the yellow. There's a lot of yellow there. More monochromatic. But this one has the green and the yellow. And our inside has that. And again, this will push down and it will be flat to fit in your envelope. And then you'll be good to go. Well, that's our card for today. I hope you like it. I hope you give it a try. And thanks for watching.